Welcome back to the Alamo Ranch Ward podcast, and today we have a very special guest, one of my favorite people in the ward.
You're too nice.
Elizabeth Hillman is here today to tell us all the things that we should know. This is, I think, what I'm going to call a special back-to-school edition of the podcast. So this is hopefully going to come out Friday, right before school starts. All right. Well, let's rewind to the beginning. So Tell us about yourself. I'd love to hear about your Uminski upbringing because I love the Uminskis so much. I love your parents.
Excellent.
And so tell us a little bit about like your growing up years and then maybe meeting James and finding your way into this ward.
Well, like you said, I am a Uminski. Part of the U crew, as we like to call ourselves. Yep. I grew up the oldest. I have a twin brother. We're the oldest of 7 kids.
Okay.
So, and my dad was in the Air Force, so I'm an Air Force brat. I grew up all around, and it's like every new place we moved, I got a new sibling. But I lived in Spain. I was born in Michigan, but I only lived there for a few months. And then I went to South Dakota, Spain, back to South Dakota, Indiana, Texas, Turkey. And then back to Texas where my dad retired and we stayed here.
What's in South Dakota? Is that missile silos or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay,
Ellsworth Air Force Base. That's where my brother Harvey was born.
Okay. And you like mark time by who was born where,
exactly.
Right?
My parents, they got married. My dad was getting ready to serve in Korea. So they eloped so that my mom could go with them. That's where they actually joined the church.
In Korea?
In Korea.
On base or on whatever was going on there?
Yeah, the missionaries learned the discussions in Korean and had to sit there and translate to English.
Wow.
to give my parents the discussions. And so they joined the church. My older brother actually was born there, but he passed away a few hours after birth because he was breech and he had swallowed the meconium.
Oh.
And so he didn't live long. And it was right after they had joined the church. And my dad's parents are Catholic. And they told him that was his punishment for joining the Mormon church. And it was a hard time.
That's intense.
Yeah. But they have come around and realized that was a good thing for my family, my parents, to be members of the church. And
over the years, they saw the fruits of what the gospel did in the family.
I'm sure they had heard, horror stories and stuff, but they realized what a good thing the church was. They were good people for sure.
What was it like growing up? Like, what was your family into? Moving around a bunch, but like, were you all into sports or other activities?
We did a lot of sports. My twin brother played soccer. I did ballet. My sisters, they did sports here. It was just everybody was doing something. My sister, everybody knows Katie. She's my next sister, and she was class president and all that. And my other sister was in choir. One of my brothers is a very amazing singer. I don't know if you've ever met David, but so my dad was a sports guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
super into hockey.
Yes. Well, he was a broadcaster in the Air Force, and then his dream job was to be a sportscaster. And so when he retired here in San Antonio, it was about the time hockey was coming to San Antonio. So he was the first voice of the San Antonio Iguanas, which was the first hockey team in San Antonio. Yep. And he did the play-by-play on the radio.
Yeah.
He did that for years.
Yeah.
He did it through the Dragons, and then I think he did it for a couple of years in the Rampage. So he loves it.
I hope someday they bring hockey back to San Antonio.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Because, I don't know.
It's fun.
It's such a unique sport. The one hockey game I went to when it was the Rampage, I went to a couple, but I just remember the very first minute on the ice, a fight broke out, which apparently was a makeup fight or like the continuation of the prior fight in the prior game. And I'm like, this sport's great.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and it's loud and crazy, but it's still family friendly if you go there. So it's still a lot of fun. Actually, James, we went on a couple dates to a Rampage game.
So you and James met here in San Antonio.
Yes. There was a singles branch that was formed for just one summer in the San Antonio East Stake. And it was the summer after my freshman year of college, so I was home from college. And my brother was getting ready to go on, my twin brother was getting ready to go on his mission, and all the guys I knew. And they formed this single adult branch. So we went and we met people from all over San Antonio. And the first conversation I had with James was about his mission call. So
really?
he had already had his mission call. And, he announced that he had opened it. Yeah, I asked him, like, so who was there? Was everyone excited? And it was just him and his sister. They just got home from work and they were the only ones there. So they opened it. And I'm like, that's not what you do.
Don't you know how this works?
But he was the first person in his family to serve a mission. And he's never been one to stand on tradition. Like, he just does his own thing.
Call came. It's just a piece of mail. I got to open it up.
He's got to know. Well, and he has very little patience as well. But he went to Brazil on his mission, and we started dating actually after he got his mission.
So you met before, but there was no like dating or anything.
Well, yeah, we dated the rest of that summer because he opened it probably June, July.
Was it serious though? Like, was it like, hey, wait around for me, write me?
Well, that's a funny story. And on the last night we were together, we were together and he's like, will you wait for me in this very romantic moment? And I'm like, no. I told him no. And I just told him it's not fair for him or me, to say that. And he was taken back. But then he's like, well, if you're still around when I get back, can we date? And I'm like, of course. And I'll write you. And it all ended up well for him because I pretty much knew by the time he was done with his mission that he was the one for me.
That's crazy because people change so much over 2 years and people change on a mission.
That's right.
But you had made enough of a connection, I guess, that summer and then written some, I assume, during the mission.
Yes, we snail mailed it because, I didn't even have an email till, after that. And he would like record little cassette tapes, send those. So we stayed in contact and I knew enough and I prayed about it and I knew that was the direction we should go.
Meanwhile, James is on a mission and you're in Provo. You're going to school at BYU, Provo. Did you know what you wanted to study? Did you know you had your like path set out in front of you?
I've always known that I wanted to be a teacher. Okay. Like it's just a gift that I think I've been given that I understand. I remember, this is weird, but I remember sitting in like second or third grade and watching how the teacher was teaching and like saying, oh, she's doing this because this kid needs this. And that's weird. I know. But
you're learning, like you're picking up as a second grader, like the pedagogy of teaching.
Yes. Yeah.
Just by sitting there.
Yeah. And so I've always known that I wanted to be a teacher.
Did you have teachers along the way that were super influential in you?
Well, my mom, she taught middle school. So, that's a special calling in and of itself. Yeah. And I've had some, my high school English teacher, she was amazing. And if I go back to elementary, my third grade teacher, Mrs. Heedy, she was such a good person. And so, yes, but I think it's just part of who I am.
You did was it elementary education?
Yeah, I did elementary ed. I actually graduated 3.5 years because I had enough college credit from high school. So I graduated in December of 97. And James got home from his mission in October of 97. So that worked out good. That worked out perfectly. Yes.
And when did you guys get married?
So we actually, when he got home from his mission, we actually did email a little. When email was brand new. And I had to go on campus to get to a computer. But we emailed because that was cheaper because you had to pay long distance.
Yeah, that's right. The phone.
Phone calls were long distance. So you had to pay for those. So somewhere in the middle. And then when I got home, I think James was ready. I actually came home in October because my twin brother was getting home. So I came home for his homecoming and we saw each other then. And I think James was ready to propose the night I got back in December. But I'm like, let's wait, and so but within a week, I think the day after Christmas, he proposed. So it was quick. And then we were married in March. So. Awesome. Well, and we were busy because he was going to school and I was looking for a job. So it was busy and fun.
Did you teach right away?
No, it was middle of the school year. So I couldn't find a job right away. So I just did temporary work. I got married in March. And then that summer I interviewed and I started that fall at Glen Oaks Elementary, which is in Northside. So.
Yeah. And so how many years did you teach before
kids
started?
Just 1 year.
Got your foot wet.
I started, August, and then we knew we were pregnant, I think in September, October time, and she was due the last day of school.
So you barely made it through the first year.
And that was a tough year because it's for your first year, which is always tough, but I was pregnant during it, but it was fun. And then afterwards, towards the end of the year, James got a promotion at work and we did the math and we could squeak by if I didn't work. So I stayed home from then on until the twins were in school.
So we'll get back to the kids, but let's skip ahead then. Going back into teaching. So after several years, many years, you were like, now is the time? Like what
Right.
sort of gave you that impetus? Like, okay, now's the
Yeah.
time. Like I want to do this again.
Well, we actually homeschooled for 3 years. When Samantha was in 4th grade, she's like, Mom, the boys cuss a lot. And I'm like, around the teacher? And she's like, no, they just do it when the teacher can't hear. And she just didn't enjoy that environment, that school that we were in. And so I'm like, well, the twins were 2. And I wasn't pregnant. So I'm like, I have energy. Let's try this. I have a college degree in elementary ed. I should be able to homeschool.
We should be able to figure this out. Something.
Yeah. And we did it for 3 years and it was amazing. I loved it. It was exhausting because I was the mom, the teacher, the principal.
Yeah.
All day long,
No breaks,
24/7.
no backup.
Yeah,
Nobody
it was
to call out
exhausting.
sick.
So moms that do that, it's amazing to me because it's a lot. But after 3 years, the twins were just getting ready to go into kindergarten, and I'm like, it's time. It's time because it's exhausting. But also, my kids had a strength and a light that I saw in them, and I wanted other kids to be able to see that. And I wanted teachers to have a good kid in their class. I wanted teachers to see them as well, and also for them to learn from other people, because as much as I could teach them, being in a situation where they have to make decisions for themselves, they could never do that if I'm right there. Like, think about a little kindergartner that can't open his fruit snacks. If I'm there, I just do it without him even asking. I just see that and I open it for him. But if he's at school, he has to decide, do I not eat these fruit snacks? Do I ask a teacher? Do I ask a friend? How do I solve this problem? And even from that little of an age, they're forming who they are. They're learning to make choices and stuff. And I was comfortable with the school we were at. So I'm like, let's do this.
Yeah.
So I slept for a week when they went back to school. Like, I seriously dropped them off at school and then went to bed. I'm like, chores can wait. So,
well, and so how many children do you have?
I have 6 at home. Well, 6 at home is what I say, because our daughter that we were pregnant with that first year, when she was 2, she got leukemia and she passed away. And so that was a big trial in our lives. And then Samantha came, and then Nathan, and then Maddie, and then Zach. And we had 2 boys and 2 girls at home, and life was great. And I told my husband, don't you want one more little girl? And he said, okay, but this is the last one. And so we got pregnant again, and it was twin boys. So, so the twins are now 16. They getting their driver's license. They're juniors in high school. So,
and in the last year, you also entered another dimension of parenting, which is you are now a grandma.
I love it. It is the best thing ever, because you see this little face. Like when I look at him on my phone, he's on my phone, of course. I just love him so, so much. And every time I see him, I just get to love on him. But then when the hard things come, I can just here, Mom, the crying,
the diapers, the stinkies.
Although I don't mind diapers, I can do all that. But it's like I can just be the fun.
Yeah.
Hold them and cuddle them and enjoy them.
I don't know if you describe this as another gift that you have, but I've just always noticed and admired how you care for children. I mean, every baby in the Alamo Ranch ward in the last 10 years has been held at one point by Elizabeth.
And we have new babies in our ward.
Yeah, that's right.
I checked them all out during Sagar meeting. Tyler was right in front, and I saw another one over there and another one. I'm like, I'm going to have to get to know these babies. You're
scanning the room for opportunities to hold a baby.
My grandson isn't here, so anybody out there that ever wants their baby held, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
So no, I do. I love children. It's probably part of being a teacher too, is understanding them and what their needs are and how I can help them and just love them.
Yeah, it's such a gift of love, and you're just so natural. I don't know that I ever saw a kid that you picked up or that went to you or whatever that was then dissatisfied. Like they were then always like, oh, I'm safe now.
Yes,
I'm happy now.
Well,
so
I'm
I don't know.
happy to do that.
I think that is a gift. It must be.
Well, and teaching, I taught your son and his class for 1.5 years, and that was the highlight of my years, because those were busy years for me. I was going back to school to be a librarian and all that. So being able to teach those kids, and I still look at them and smile at them. But, yeah.
Okay. I wanted to just talk a little bit more about school again. So you went back to teaching. You taught for a few years, and then you became a librarian.
Yeah. So I was actually a substitute teacher for like 5-6 years while my kids were in school. And I'm like, I loved it because it was, at will work. Like I didn't have to work if I didn't want to. Yeah. And it gave me that flexibility. But after a while, I'm like, I missed having my own class, my own rules. There's something about a student-teacher relationship that a substitute can never come in and take over for. Just being the teacher gives you some credibility with those students. And so I'm like, I want that. So I jumped through all the red tape, all the hoops. I had to pay the state to get certified, all that, took the test, and I was able to become a teacher. And I started late in the year. My first day teaching second grade at Bolt Elementary was Halloween. 2019. So I started late, but we know how that year ended.
Yeah. I didn't even put that together. That was like your first official year back.
That was my first year back. And then, COVID hit and it was a whole craziness. Yeah. So my next full year of teaching was what I like to call the plexiglass year, where half in school, half out. I was teaching on the computer at the same time I was teaching in the classroom.
Half online and coming back too, because January that year was when we started to go back.
Well, there were some kids coming back like October, and so it was a challenge to learn how to teach a different way, a whole new way. Yeah. So that fourth grade team I was on, they switched me to fourth grade over the summer, and we bonded because that was like going through the trenches, doing new strategies, learning new skills on the computer and everything. So yeah, that was a hard year. And then I just stayed on that team. But a couple years after that, I was grading papers or doing some work, and I was almost in tears because they ask teachers to do a lot. It's not just getting them in front of a classroom. There's so much behind the scenes that you don't even know about, and it's exhausting. And like, what can I do where I can still be a teacher and not do all this other stuff? And I'm like, a librarian. That thought just came to my mind. And I'm like, okay. So I started researching it. You have to have a master's degree. So I went back to school and got my master's degree online. So I was working full time during the day, coming home, doing online classes and all that work. And I made it happen. So last year I was able to be done enough that I could get hired. And so I started.
So this time was your first full year as a librarian.
So this time last year, I was setting up my library for the first time and all that. So, awesome. And it was great. It's an amazing job.
So you mentioned the going from substitute, where you sort of have an impact on these kids' life, but not an ongoing relationship, to a teacher where you now have this ongoing relationship in day in, day out, and now librarian. So describe to me the difference between your role with the kids as the librarian, because you're very present, but it's like for the whole school too.
Right. Yeah. I have to know a lot of names. Yeah. I don't think I don't know all the kids, but I'm getting there. It is a different, if there's anything I miss from teaching in the classroom, it's having that relationship with the kids. But what I'm thinking is cool now as a librarian is I can watch these kids grow. Like they're always my kids,
year
right?
Over year, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like these little pre-Kers or kindergartners that I taught my first year, I'm going to watch them go, 5 more years, 6, whatever years. So I can watch them and see them. And the librarian is unique in that we don't give grades.
Right.
And so kids can just come and feel accepted. Okay. No matter what.
They're not worried about turning in an assignment or, meeting
or
some mark.
Disappointing me. Like even, overdue books don't even make me mad. I'm like, just bring them. Oh, you got water and I'm sorry. We have enough resources that we can buy new books and we'll figure it out. You can pay, $10 and we'll figure it out. But I just want them to be accepted no matter what. They can come to the library and feel accepted. And
it's almost like an extension of the counseling department in a way, right? Yeah. Like where, if I put it in church terms, like you're ministering to the whole school, right? You're
and even sometimes the teachers, because I ask the teachers to come in with their class, and so they're there. And I would like to someday have where we can teach together. That's like the goal. Is to collaborate that way. But when they're in the library, I like to be there for them and say, "What do you need?" Because I know how hard it is. I was just there and be there for them and help maybe relieve some of their stress so that they're better teachers.
So it's not just, hey, I'm sending my kids to the library and I'm going to take 5 minutes here to put my head on my desk and
right.
check out.
Yeah.
But hey, let's work together here. And
yes,
I can help you with the challenges you're having. And,
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah. So I think that's another thing I'm going to love about being a librarian is watching those kids grow up and instantly, of course, you have the kids that want to hug you and like love on you instantly. But there's some other kids that it's taken a little time to warm up, but we can get there.
Maybe that is part of that year-over-year relationship, right? Because then you see them again, you recognize them, you know their name, where they're getting to know a new teacher, whatever. You're a familiar face already, right? Yeah.
So that could be what I'm hoping.
Yeah. That's a really neat dynamic. So tell me more about, now, in our Spirit of Back to School podcast, like, what do you see in the kids at school? What do you see in particularly kids are members of the church? What is the environment at school like, and how do children of faith, whether they're our faith or other faiths, like how do they impact the environment at school?
That's a good question, because it can be pretty dark sometimes at school. Like there's some kids that come from not good situations and they have, things going on in their lives that they don't know how to deal with except to lash out, right? Oh. But to have kids that you can just tell get how to love, like to share who they are with the people around them without saying like, this is my testimony, but just being who they are, a child of God, so to speak, and being friends and having, when you know the gospel and you're studying the gospel, there's like a light that comes from just being who you are, just knowing who God is shines through you.
And you see that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's obvious.
It's obvious. So there's coworkers that know. They're like, aren't they a member of your church? Yes, they are. They are a member of our church. I have one fifth grade teacher where I used to teach. He's like, give them all to me. Tell me who they are, and I want them all in my class.
Flag all the good kids. I'm making a team here. Strong
I'm
team.
Like, you need to share. No.
Spread it around, right? Spread it around.
But, kids, it's hard to understand the light. If you don't, it's not like they're, when I teach little kids, I'm like, it's like you have a light bulb in your eye. No, it's not that kind of light. It's just that they have a level of happiness, a level of acceptance, like knowing who they are. So they're not competing for attention because they know who they are. They're, already accepted, and they're willing to be good friends and nice to the people around them. And they, and I think, studying the gospel makes you smarter. Like that's just a little.
Oh yeah, we're teaching them King James English, like from the first times in primary, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like if they can understand that, then they're already understanding other stuff. Like I don't know exactly how to say that, but I do think that learning comes easier. To them
because they've been in an environment, in a situation week after week since they were born. Probably,
and they know how to listen to their teachers. They know, how to make good choices. I mean, of course, nobody's perfect.
Sure.
But for the most part.
We all test the limits a little bit in school. We're all like, okay,
can I do this?
Yeah, I'm going to try and be a cool kid this year.
How high can I jump off the swing?
Yeah, everybody tests the limit in a different way, I think. But, it's like school can be a rough place. Like the language can be tough. The attitudes and the, home lives and different things that kids are coming from and all bringing to the school. And I picture it just from, the outside parent interaction as like a great opportunity for good kids or kids that come from environments where there's a lot of support and a lot of help to also like strengthen and lift and help those other kids around them as well. Yeah. So
I always tell my kids they can be friends. They can be nice to everyone, but it doesn't mean you need to be best friends with someone is not making good choices. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying never be mean to them, but be nice to them. If you get them put in a group with them at school, help them out, support them. But it doesn't mean you have to be best friends with them, because then I don't want the bad choices.
We're not bringing the bad choices home, all right?
Right, exactly.
But we can reach out and love and care for them.
And you never know. Like I had 2 friends from high school that weren't members, and later on in life they joined the church. You never know when it might not be a missionary experience right then and there, but you never know when that influence could help.
Since you have so much experience, not only on the educator side, but also on the parent side, you've been through high school, you've been through middle school, you've been through elementary school with now 6 kids, right? Like, say I'm a new parent, I'm a parent with my first kid going into high school.
Yes.
Personally, right?
Go Eli.
Yay.
Go Raiders.
Go Raiders. And we have our friends in the ward with kids going to elementary school for the first time or middle school. Like what's your pro tip? Give us your pro tips for parents who might be a little nervous or a little like, how do I help them? How do I support them? How do I feel comfortable about this?
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
For toddlers, my pro tip for toddlers is always say yes, or say yes as much as you can. Not always say yes, but whenever you can, say yes. Like if they're like, I want, a cupcake. I'm like, yes, you can have a cupcake, but first we have to eat dinner.
Okay.
That's my pro tip for toddlers. But for school, I really just wanted to get them talking. And so especially middle schoolers, I mean, you just went through the middle school age with Eli. They like all of a sudden, especially boys, just stop talking.
Yeah.
Like you ask them, how was school? Fine.
Yeah.
What did you learn?
I
Stuff.
don't know. Stuff.
Yeah.
You get the one words and I loved the drive. Like I would typically drive Eli to school in the morning, and I found that was our time. If he wanted to tell me something, or if we were going to have a conversation about anything, that was the 15 minutes we had to have that conversation.
Right.
And I loved it.
Yes.
I mean, I sunk my teeth into that. That was and I came with questions. I came with discussion ideas. I came with follow-ups on come follow me.
Yes.
When I started to realize, this is the 15 minutes I get.
Right.
I took advantage.
Yeah. And James would find excuses to take the kids on errands, and they would use that car time to have conversations.
There's something about everybody staring straight out the windshield and not having this intense eye to eyeball conversation.
Yeah.
But we can just have a conversation where we're both looking at our phones or looking at out to the
exactly
the windshield.
And that reminded me, when my kids were all in elementary, we when I would drop them off, that's when we would play music. Like church music. We had this one called Popcorn Popping. It was they took some of the songs and made them hip hoppy,
Fun.
And but then also that's when we would practice our family scripture that we were memorizing for the week or month or whatever. So my kids, even in elementary, had scriptures memorized, and we did that on the way to church or on the way to school every day. And like you said, use that time to teach them and have that moment with them. And we made it fun, and I don't know. So when they get to middle school and they don't talk anymore, that's challenging. But if you had already had a relationship with them where you can talk to them about stuff. And so that's what I started doing in middle school. I asked them more specific questions. And I knew their teachers' names and, what did she teach today? Or did anything exciting happen in that class? Specifics instead of just in general. Because they have so much stuff coming at them.
Yeah.
All day long, 8 different classes, whatever, kids, lunchtime. They don't even know where to start. So they're just overloaded and they're like, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My classic question was, what interesting or unexpected happened today? Right. So a slightly more specific question, was there something different that happened today that typically happens?
Right.
And I always get really good answers to that question.
Yeah.
Because it's not just how was your day? Fine. But what was unexpected today? What didn't go right or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and also knowing what's coming up in their life. So if they knew they had a test going, you could ask specifically about that. How did that test go? Or
not to say that every day is great, right? There are those days where all we really get through is, okay, I looked at Hack this morning and I found some zeros, Can you please remember, this is the 4th reminder this week.
And don't say it's not because the teacher didn't put the grades in.
Yeah.
I know that excuse.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. There's hard conversations to have it.
Okay, we've talked a lot about school, so hopefully that's helpful to somebody out there. Thank you for being our resident expert on education.
I love teaching and being in the schools and seeing those kids. I look back on my 4th grade when I taught 4th grade, all that I teach them that in that 1 year, that's so much information coming into their little brains, you know?
That you compare what they started with and what they end the year with. And it's, hopefully teachers, hopefully you feel accomplished.
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, sometimes, we have those rough kids or the rough days, but we understand that we're not in it for the money. We're in it because we feel called and we're there to help the kids.
And you can, I think, make a measurable difference in a kid's life, even just in the span of a year or even a half a year, a semester or something.
Yeah, you can.
Going back to church real fast. I was asking Audrey before, like, what should I ask Sister Hillman about? And she's like, she's had every calling in the church. Ask her what her favorite calling has been.
Sunbeams. I know I'm the weird person that likes those little itty bitties, but
that's not weird.
Sunbeams.
You and Brother Hoyt.
Nursery. Oh yeah.
Both love the Sunbeams.
He's so good too. Primary, but like I was scared to be in Young Women's. When we first moved here, I got called into Young Women's and I was scared, but it's fun. Like being in the youth program, like they make you feel young. You go and you do all the activities with them. It's not so much you teaching them, which you do, but you're doing stuff with them and they make you feel young and excited. And I enjoyed my time in Young Women. There's no calling I hated,
Yeah.
But Young Women's was fun. And then Relief Society too, like working with sisters and getting things done. And it's all good.
What, as you kind of look back and look forward even, like, what do you think were significant drivers in your life of you gaining faith and like keeping your faith throughout your life? What do you think speaks to you so much from the gospel that you're like, this is what I'm basing my life on?
Well, when I was a youth, like middle or elementary all the way through high school, I was actually super, super shy, really shy. And when I went to college at BYU, my brother and I were there together our freshman year, and then he went and served his mission. And so our sophomore year at BYU, my safety net was gone. Like he's always been super outgoing. In fact, in high school, I was known as Spencer sister, because I was the quiet one. He was the outgoing one. He had all the friends, and I had friends too. But, I just kind of relied on him because we moved around so often. Every 2 or 3 years we're moving around. But when he was gone, I kind of had to like decide, what am I going to do now? And that's, I think when I kind of came out of my shell. And then also having to be in front of a classroom full of people, even if they're little people, it's still having to be there. But when I was becoming that more outgoing person, I also had to decide where I wanted to stand on my faith. And even though I was at BYU, I had always, especially at BYU, you always just have that there. It's always there. And then
it doesn't feel like much of a choice sometimes.
Right. And I'm a very faithful person. Even in my patriarchal blessing, it says that I was blessed with faithfulness. Like, it's just like, I believe it. Like, I just know it. And so I think it was after my sophomore year at college, I went to, and actually all through high school, the summers I spent with my grandparents in South Dakota. And this church is not like you have to travel far. You have to travel over an hour just to get to church. And so we didn't do it very much. And that was about when I'm like, do I really want to do this? Do I really? And that's when my prayers increased. That's when my scripture reading for myself increased. And I made a choice. And that's, prayer has always been important to me. I can't say that I've always read my scriptures every day because sometimes life was busy.
Because who
does? but I know when I do that I can feel the difference in my life. So I would say those times in my life when I didn't have someone to rely on, I knew that I could pray. And because of my background, in being a family full of churchgoers, that I knew where I could go, and that's where I relied on it.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that story, because I feel very strongly, like from my experience and then talking to a lot of people, like sometime as a young adult, all of us have to go through that choice of like, what do I really believe? Like if all of the rest was gone, like I didn't have parents, I didn't have siblings, I didn't have grandparents, I didn't have this whole structure around me, if I didn't live in the same place or whatever, like if it was just me on an island, what would it be?
Right.
What would I believe? What would I practice? How would I live my life? And that's those moments where you sort of make those declarations or choices, or just like, this is the way it's going to be for me in my life. Yeah. I remember very specifically, I was driving home from a young single adult ward to my uncle's house. I was on my own, but I was living near my uncle, and I passed on his street. There was a family out there getting their boat like squared away after a Sunday on the lake, and I think I was serving as an elder quorum president at the time. And of course, like that means I had been in not only 3-hour church, but word council before and extra meetings after and ministering and whatever. And I'm driving past and I'm looking at and we had a boat growing up, right? So I driving past looking at this family on this boat, and they're just so happy, and they've had a great day. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing this.
Yeah, I'm all in.
I'm all in. Yeah. I'm doing this. Like I could be them, and they seem to be having a great time, and I'm sure they felt like they spent their Sunday.
Yeah.
But I've been called to do this. Like this is the calling that I have.
And you weren't upset about it?
No. I was like, it was an affirmation. It was like, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this. Like I could be doing that, but this is what I'm supposed to be doing for me. Like this is what I've been called to do.
Yeah.
So
my mom teases that if you get a boat, you should name it Sabbath Daybreaker. That's because that's like the only day you have to go boat. But
yeah,
that's what she tells James every time he goes to buy a boat.
You got to know what you got to name it.
Yeah.
All right. What haven't we talked about? Is there anything else you'd like to share with our ward members, friends, things that you enjoy, or just like to connect with people over?
Well, my biggest hobby right now is crocheting. I love to crochet. So if we have any other crocheters out there, we could have a group.
Compare our patterns.
Yeah. Well, no, just to sit and crochet. You don't even have to share what you're doing, but just having a moment where you can just be there and have that moment of.
It must be calming.
It is. It's so calming. That's, I think, why I like it.
Yeah.
It's relaxing.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
And reading too. I do love to read. I mean, I'm a librarian, so that's a given.
But do you enjoy? Is there any particular genre you enjoy the most?
I really like fantasy. Okay. I've always liked fantasy. And lately I've just been reading mostly kids' books because I'm trying to keep up. There's every year, hundreds of new books. So I'm just trying to keep up.
Trying to decide what to keep in the library and what to put out there for
what's
the kids.
Important. All that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking this time on a Sunday afternoon. I appreciate it. Of
course. I'm happy to be here.
All right. And thank everybody for listening. Tune in again. All right.
Bye.